This is Tiffany, and I decided to re-record the rest of the steps for this assignment. Some things have become clear to me. I'm going to reinforce. Step 5 says to test the validation rules, and it wants you to test the validation rules for these. So what we want to do is just make sure that these work. Make sure that your messages are correct. There's not really anything that it tells you to put in here, but just make sure it makes sense. Something similar to that. Moving on to step 6, you're essentially going to do the same thing, but I have a trick to show you. So if you click on customer name, you can see that my contact information is already entered, but pretend that it's not. And go to data validation, input message, and make sure that that is clicked. Also, you can do this, click in the input message, hit the home key, shift with your arrow keys, hit Control C and copy it, say OK and close it. Go to your next one, address, open it with data validation again, input message, go in here, there will be nothing in yours. And if you hit Control V, you can just copy the message from the last one. And you can do that for all of these cells right here. Save yourself some time and make your messages consistent. Because the book is not very clear here on step 6B, chair name, what would you like to name your chair? And you can name it anything that you want. That's why it's not effective to have gone to chair sales over here and chosen one of the names, because it wants you to name it yourself. That's the point of all this, that you can have these constricted with a list and still have one that is allowed for input, and that'll come into play later when you format and lock or protect cells. Step 7, you have to enter a comment here. So where we do that is we go to Review, New Comment, and put what the book tells you. All pine chairs are $100, and all oak chairs are $150. And then click out. And every time you go there, your comment will show. Yay. So for step 8, you need to enter a formula, and I'm just going to say right now, I don't agree with the formula that is proposed. The reason that I don't is because your formula that I'm going to show you is based on 2 choices. Most of the time when someone has taken the effort to make a form like this, you're going to have more than 2 choices. I understand that you don't for this assignment, and it's good to know multiple ways. I would choose to do a VLOOKUP here. Perhaps you did as well. The solution that I am guided to is as follows. It's a nested if statement. So you type equal if, and again, I type mine because it's just how I learned, and I get less confused, I suppose. So the price is based on the type of wood. So we want to say if this cell, now if you click on it, it will tell you wood. If you type in B11, it will give you the same result. So when you get your comments back from Professor Bushnell, keep that in mind, that just clicking in the cell would have given you a different, would have given you a different result. So if wood equals, and then you want to put this in quotes, if it equals oak, and it has to be exactly the same as is typed here, so capital O, etc. And you want to close parentheses. So that is going to be your logical test. And this is what I mean when I say Excel tells you what it wants. And you want to hit a comma, value if true. So if it's true that it's oak, how much is that chair going to cost? Well, it's going to cost $150, so just type $150. As simple as that. Comma. Value if false. Well, here we have two choices. If it's not oak, it's going to be pine. So the guided solution will tell me to put in another if statement, which makes this a nested if. And if you'll see, we are now on the second if statement, so we are back to logical test. So we want to say if this cell equals, and the reason for the quotes is for it to be exactly what it's referring to. Whereas if we hit the comma and go to value if true and we simply type in 100 because that's the value, it doesn't need the quotes because you're not quoting something, you're just telling it to use that number. Then comma, value if false, the guided solution tells me to put a 0. I'm not sure that I agree with that either, but that's the solution. And you want to close the parentheses, but keep in mind that you have 2 right here. 1, 2. So you want to close both those. Hit enter. And you should end up with a 0 simply because you don't have any value in wood. However, to check it, pick a wood. And you'll see that your formula works just fine. So pick the other wood. And you get 100. And your message tells you pine chairs are 100. So yay, success.